this gives us a way that we are all on the same page and come with the same norms into this space. So pulling these up here. So what we ask of our participants during this session and during the entire virtual conference is that we ask that you're respectful and curious, that you're patient, and that you speak from your own experiences. Try to avoid jargon or explain it if you do use it. Be conscious of intent versus impact. Try to take space, step up, challenge yourself, but also step back and make space for others. And throughout this entire session, take care of yourself. If there is an issue that you are seeing, or if you need to report some harm, people are monitoring that email address. You can send us an email at events@seedsavers.org and we will get it taken care of. And before we go any further still, we would be amiss if we did not thank our sponsor for this event. So a big thank you to Decorah Bank and Trust for their generous support of today's virtual conference. Their commitment to Seed Savers Exchange and their hospitality in hosting us is helpful to make this event possible. So thank you to Decorah Bank and Trust for lending us your space and for being such a generous host today and for the upcoming sessions. Now getting into the good stuff. I am excited today for this post-lunch session with LaNoana, who's going to be talking about seeds of legacy, honoring ancestral wisdom in modern seed saving. So LaNoana Odom is the founder and executive director of Sowing Good Seeds, the Butterfly Effect Foundation, which works to change lives through good thoughts, good words, good deeds, and of course, good seeds. She has 30 plus years of Fortune 100 business experience and serves as a multidisciplinary community organizer, wellness advisor, life coach, social justice advocate, artist, farmer, trainer. LaNoana's overall mission is to increase access to good nutrition, be it food or information, and create momentum for the healthy food movement. So please utilize that chat, put in any questions or comments for LaNoana, and we'll have some time to get to those at the end of our session. LaNoana, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm excited. It's been a
Mhm.
wonderful day so far.
Yes.
How's everybody doing? Great. Whenever I hear someone introducing me, I'm always like, wow, you actually, all of that stuff. Are you hyper? What's going on with you?
You're doing it.
I just
Yes.
learned how to tap into all the God in me. So greetings. My name is LaNoana Odom. I am hailing from Chester, Pennsylvania, which is the first city in Pennsylvania. It's where I live right outside of Philadelphia, not too far from the Philadelphia airport, for those of you who are familiar with the area. Today, we are going to journey through stories, traditions, and some techniques that connect us all around seeds. I want to start with a few things. First, I want to share some good news, and don't anyone get shocked. Whenever I tell people this, they always get shocked. But today, I became a great grandmother for the first time. My grandson had a daughter today, and she actually has my first name as a part of her middle name. So that's exciting. I just kind of wanted to share that. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about how I even came to be here with this presentation. I I started down a journey on DNA just trying to get myself on record, and through that I learned a lot of things. I found a Jamaican family. Even though I knew my grandmother, I found a Jamaican family that I didn't know existed, and they have really been bringing me into the Jamaican culture, and this presentation right here is just so dear to my heart. because of that. So my grandmother and all of my maternal ancestors are Jamaican. My grandmother's children are the first generation Americans. And my grandmother is 98 years old and she is still with us here on earth. She has actually sent like four of her children off earth already, and she is still here holding on and is still vibrant. And through that DNA journey, I also found my biological father. So I just wanted to share a little bit of personal information about myself. And then before we start talking about the seeds of legacy and the Jamaican heritage and seed saving in the past, I wanted to just tell you a little bit about my nonprofit, Sowing Good Seeds, the Butterfly Effect. I created Sowing Good Seeds, the Butterfly Effect when I came home to, I'm an only child. And when I came home to care for my mom, who had been attacked by every chronic disease that exists. And I started seeing people that were younger than me dealing with these challenges. And I said, you have to educate people on growing their own food. And you want people to transition like the butterfly effect. A butterfly flaps their wings and things change. A caterpillar turns into a butterfly and things change, thus the name. And I teach people to grow food, prepare healthy food, share love, embrace love, introduce some healthiness into their lives. And an overall goal is to just make us a healthier being as we journey here on earth. So enough about me. Let's get into some seed saving here and what we're going to do. Melody, you can go ahead to the next slide. I want to go ahead and just kind of review what it is we're going to be talking about here today. And I'm going to take these off. I love my glasses, but I only need them for driving. So we're going to talk about the cultural importance of seeds in Jamaica, some traditional seed types, and maybe a couple of stories. And I would challenge you to think of some stories and share in the chat of some cultural things from your family. I'll discuss some practical seed saving techniques. We'll do a visual tour of Jamaican heirloom seeds, and we will have an interactive question and answer session. And then we will depart ways after I review the legacy action steps and have some closing reflections. If that is all right with everyone, you can go ahead to the next slide. So why do we save seeds? I do not have the chat open. Let me open that so I can see what people are saying. Why do we save seeds? I got to make sure y'all stay up after lunch. No one has any idea of why we save seeds. Well, I look at seeds as our ancestors. They are living, they are alive, they have a living memory. They not only preserve biodiversity and cultural identity, it helps protect food sovereignty. We don't have to depend on the Home Depots of the world, the Bonnie seeds, which I know we shouldn't be mentioning that, but we don't have to worry about those type of seeds. If we could just encourage people to save seeds, save a seed, give a seed, pass a seed, grow a plant, live a little healthier, it brings people together. It brings resilience. People are growing things that are from the area where they are. It allows us to protect traditional flavors because not everybody eats and grows the same things. It also allows us to grow the things that we need to be able to heal ourselves. Because a lot of the seeds that we save and the plants that we grow, even the ones that we cook and eat, have medicinal properties. And seeds tell family stories and land memories of where they were. I grew up and took for granted until, I became consciously aware again. My backyard, when I grew up, we grew food, we saved seeds, we fermented, we made jelly. And it wasn't until I became an adult, and with my children and grandchildren and a great grandchild, you're like, you have to pass these things on. And it all starts with saving a seed, right? All right, you can go ahead to the next slide. So I wanted to talk about a couple of Jamaican ancestral seeds that are probably used in every household at some point. And I highlighted a few here. The Scotch bonnet. Is anyone familiar with the Scotch bonnet pepper? Yes, of course. It's all right. What do you know about the Scotch bonnet pepper? I'm glad you're familiar. Scott bonnet and Scotch bonnet peppers are so hot. They are like fire. They are used in jerk recipes traditionally with Jamaican cuisine. They represent heat and strength. It's not for the weak. It puts you on fire. And then there are black-eyed peas, which in Jamaica there are many peas that are used in rice and peas dishes. I selected the black eyed pea because it was the one that I was most familiar with growing up in America. And I've been hearing stories, I've been collecting some stories, some of the relatives that I am connecting with that are Jamaican. And there is one story that the black eyed peas on Sunday were picked, from the garden and they were cooked. At the end of the season, the seeds were wrapped up in newspaper and they were put in a biscuit tin and the grandmother would tell my cousin, do not lose these seeds. These seeds are the soul for your food. And I just thought that that was so powerful. And traditionally in America, at least in the African American community, black eyed peas starts out your new year. I don't know if anyone else is familiar with that or if it is cross cultural, but we eat black eyed peas with alone and in rice as peas and rice. And the black eyed peas represent the pennies that you will acquire through the year. You know, making your prosperity, you're manifesting your prosperity in the beginning of the year by eating black eyed peas. And I heard in a presentation earlier how the seeds were put in the hair, and black eyed peas is one of those seeds that was actually put in hair so that slaves could eat what they were used to when they arrived where they were. And I've also learned that the black eyed pea was used for those that were escaping. They would use the black eyed peas as a way for people to follow the trail because if you didn't know you're looking for a black eyed pea, you probably would just step over it, but it was used in a way to direct slaves when they were escaping. And then, of course, sorrel is brewed at Christmas. It signifies celebration and healing. So for me, it is almost a tea that I drink occasionally. Not even knowing the significance of the joy and celebration that it represented to my ancestors. So those are our Jamaican ancestral seeds. Yes, Jennifer, black eyed peas and greens. Get them dollar bills and those pennies. All right, so some seed saving techniques. Let's look at how we can save seeds that is beneficial to not only our communities, our families, and whomever we want to share with. And I want to just I meant to say this earlier. I want to challenge everyone. I have some seeds and we save for ourselves, but I don't necessarily share, and I haven't attended any events in a couple of years where we were sharing seeds. So as I was preparing this presentation, I came up with I'm going to put a seed in an envelope and I'm going to put a note on it and I'm just going to carry those around and I'm just going to give them out. And I'm going to put a message on there that talks about seed saving and tell them, what type of seed it is and some kind of motivational and inspirational message to keep the seed saving going. And so I wanted to suggest that to you all also. So back to the seed saving techniques. So dry storage. First, I'd like to say in saving seeds, it is very important to make sure that they dry out completely because they will mold, not germinate. You may not get the quality that you're looking for. You want to make sure seeds are dried out. So with dry seeds, you're drying them out. If it's something that you are getting like a pod, like the sorrel plant, you want to let it dry out actually on the plant as much as you can. And then if for some reason it gets so dry, but not completely dry, you lay it out and dry it. And then you want to store them in jars. Glass jars, not plastic jars, are recommended, or envelopes. And you want to make sure that you always put your seeds in dry, cool places. It is best and they last longer that way. All right. And then another seed saving technique is going to be labeling. And labeling is going to include the date, the seed type, the location is important. The location where the seed was retrieved, because you may move and you move somewhere else and have that seed. And now you're somewhere where the climate is different, the environment is different, and the seed will not be as resilient in that type of environment. And in seed saving, we have to keep that in mind also when we're saving seeds. As the weather changes and the climate changes and the environment changes, some seeds may not grow as well as they used to in the same environment where they once were, if things have changed drastically. And things are shifting. The seasons, but I don't know, some things are still a little off to me. And then there is fermentation for wet seeds like tomatoes to help remove the pulp. You can do cucumbers like this. There are several things that you could do like this okra, not necessarily to remove the seeds, but things like okra and cucumber, it will maintain the crispness. Putting them in a jar with some vinegar, water, spices. I do a lot of workshops with my nonprofit, and we pickle cucumbers. I come with jars and vinegar and herbs and seasonings, and everybody goes home, and in like 3 days, if you put it in the refrigerator, you actually have pickles from fresh cucumbers, aside from the seed saving, but I wanted to share that. And then the share and trade, engage in seed swaps to preserve diversity. I got ahead of myself suggesting to you on the envelopes with the seeds, but sharing is caring. Indeed, it is. And even people that don't farm or garden, I think that they would appreciate a seed with a message. Put it in birthday cards, take them to parties. Let's get creative in how it is that we are actually saving and sharing and building and continuing to move forward with our seeds. All right, the next slide. Okay, so we're moving into our visual tour of the Jamaican heirloom seeds that I mentioned earlier. And I saw in the chat earlier, someone mentioned how bright and vibrant the Scotch bonnets are. And they are beautiful. They really represent and have an energy of hot power. And I just wanted to kind of share visuals with you for those that may not have seen those. And Scotch bonnets are one of those seeds that could go away. This is one that I would suggest that people really save, even though you can still buy them. It is not native to this country, and it is one that could possibly disappear one day. So if it is something that you love to use in heating up your food, this is a great seed that I suggest you save. And then here we are back with the Jamaican heirloom seed of black-eyed peas. And I was sharing some of the stories. I realize I've gotten ahead of myself on some of this. This is what happens when you prepare things in your mind. Did the presentation about a month ago and did my script. And I'm forgetting here that I had this here like this. But black-eyed peas, I think I've said everything that I want to say on that. I don't really want to bore you after lunch repeating myself. So Sorrel hibiscus tea, healing, great antioxidants. I suggest people incorporate this into their daily diet, even though it is significant to the Jamaican ancestral seed saving story and Christmas story. This is a powerful, powerful plant here. That I would recommend to people. That's my nonprofit talking right there for the benefits that I've seen that it has had for people. So before we go into the Q&A, and I am running a little ahead here, what I'd like to say to you is seed saving can be really fun for families. We get together for holidays and occasions, and we take the food that we eat for granted. I did workshops at a senior center locally, and I was amazed at how many people over 70 did not know how some things actually came about. They did not know that they started with a plant. A lot of people don't know the power of plants. So, in saving seeds, I would encourage you to do some research on the healing properties and benefits of the seeds that we are saving. And as we save and exchange seeds, we also share those stories of the power of those seeds, not only in our families, not only in the soil, not only in the universe, but also in our bodies. I'm ready for questions.
That is great, LaNoana. Thank you. Thank you for giving us a little taste
Just a little
of,
tease.
yeah, of some Jamaican ancestral stories here. I know there are a few questions in the chat and then lots and lots of love about the idea of using seeds as gifts and just having them on you and just freely sharing in that way. So people are really, really latching on to that idea. That one seems to be pretty popular here.
Sowing good seeds. I've been sowing good seeds in people's lives since I've been here and didn't even realize how intertwined things would be as we grow in life, growing plants, sowing seeds.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit, some questions about sorrel here? So, sorrel is the Jamaican term,
Yes,
but here in the US, we might call it hibiscus.
yes.
And then how would you make that into a tea? Is that something that you make? How do you do it? Give us a recipe.
Uh, I'm kind of dangerous in the way that I live with things. I'm going to suggest Spencer's laughing at me. I'm going to suggest people buy the tea or buy it from a good source that is already bottled. Me myself, I'm just going to drop some leaves and and things into some hot water, and I'm going to steep it and drink
hmm
it.
hmm And a beautiful color comes out in that. Yeah, good. So now is question time. So please put some questions in the chat for LaNoana. But while you're thinking, maybe, LaNoana, could you share with us a little bit about how you came to explore these Jamaican seeds? And like if someone was interested in discovering their own ancestry, like what would you recommend them to do if they wanted to find seeds that might be special to them and to their people as well?
So, the family group that I'm a part of is kind of a cheat for me because I can go to them and ask questions about Jamaican culture. And it's amazing, even though like my grandmother didn't raise my mom, but she's been in my life all of my life. We never ever talked about the Jamaican culture. So I'm literally, and it's because she came to the States at 16 and I think she had a rough childhood, so we don't talk about it, but I'm literally learning this. And I tell you, this presentation took me on a path of learning some things. So I saw Joy ask the Jamaican sorrel plant is the hibiscus plant. I can't answer that specifically, but I can tell you that, see, in America, we call it the hibiscus plant, but in Jamaica, they call it the sorrel. plant, right? They both make hibiscus tea. They both make a hibiscus drink, but I do know that there are different species of things, and I don't know if hibiscus falls into that, and I did not do that research.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. So if we are connecting, so yeah, I think this is just a beautiful way of discovering who you are and discovering your roots and the way that seeds impact that. Any advice for anybody who wants to go on this journey, similar to what you
So
did?
I literally I have to admit I love AI for learning. So I go to AI and I'll ask a question and then I go and research on the resources that they give me. You have to ask the question correctly. Maddie, if you just search about the Christmas joy, you could do something creative like Christmas joy drink, mandatory drink. They're like, if we not having that, there's no Christmas. You know,
Mhm,
it's a mandatory thing with Christmas. So there's a lot of information out there. I would suggest that you just kind of research it and see what you find. I know that you will find something out there. Over the last 5 years of my life, I have become such a researcher because when I did my DNA test, I was given a whole bunch of information that was unfamiliar. And this is an aside, but Ancestry.com is a great way to put your life back together. I have gone back to the 1600s with public documents. I have learned I had a great grandfather that was handpicked by George Washington to serve. So even in that, and it not being related to seeds, you learn something about the family culture. And then you kind of have to go down the rabbit hole to find the seeds, the things that would get you down to the seeds of what was going on at that time. Because in Ancestry, it literally will tell you how they were living, what was going on in the area, and everything. So you get to really put yourself back there and understand better what was going on, where these foods came from, how these seeds even came to be, how these cultures even came to be. And I've been able to put a lot together through that research.
mhm,
Yes, my traditions are changing. My whole life is changing with what I'm discovering. I'm learning that it's time for me to be who I am. You're
mhm.
welcome.
Yeah. So I guess as we're thinking of a new generation coming into your life, your great granddaughter, right? Like what do you hope to pass along here?
Um,
Like
e-
how what's the plan?
e- Everybody gets indoctrinated into it, whether they apply it in their life or not. So already she will be helping me start seedlings from seeds that I have saved, and we will be harvesting things together. And I am naturally a storyteller. So I tell stories about seeds and plants and everything. And all of my grandchildren, probably because I didn't really have this in my life, I probably tell them more than they need. So I give them, they will be equipped with how to survive. All
Mhm,
right. They will know how to save seeds, to grow plants, to share love. And everything that I have discussed here, I intentionally pour myself into them, giving them those tools because I don't know about where y'all live or what's going on in your lives, but this next generation is a little different than what we've been used to.
mhm. And hopefully passing along some of these Jamaican traditions so that they can carry these heritage even further.
I am going to go to Jamaica. I'm going to plan a trip that's going to be intentional so that I can get the full flavor of things. I had shared with you, Melody, my great uncle actually started a school over there. So I'm hoping to go over there and do some work as the nonprofit and bring along some seed saving and some healthy stuff that relates to plants. So
Mhm. That'll be that'll be a great experience. I'm excited for you for that.
thank you.
Yeah, bringing coming back to your nonprofit, there's a question about what kinds of workshops you host and how people can see more of you.
Okay, so I am going to put my personal email here. Well, I'll put the nonprofit email here.
And we'll also make sure that we share that out in an
Okay.
email with the participants afterward.
This is the best way to reach me. And I'm a teacher, I'm a trainer, so I can customize to what someone wants, but typically my out of the box workshop for Sowing Good Seeds incorporates I can do 6 weeks and I can do it in an hour. So I've kind of perfected that. And what I do is everyone gets a seed, they get a story, they get a container. Sometimes I do themes and we'll do salsa um containers, and I use like little CD containers, and we put like the garden paper in there, and then we plant. And then I normally have some healthy, like if we did the salsa, I would prepare salsa. So they're going to eat the salsa to know the ingredients that they are going to grow and decide if those are the seeds that they actually want to plant. Um, and then I have a book with Sowing Good Seeds that we kind of walk people through, and I have people leave some informational things, and we do some other hands-on things. It depends on what it is. I personally have a journal that I published, and I teach people how to manage their time. And in there, I created a way for people to live healthy. And there's some pages in there that gives you a conscious look at what you're doing in your life, because you're looking at what you're eating, you're looking at how you're exercising, and I do that. I present that as a workshop, and the takeaway is the journal. I do spiritual counseling. I teach people how to grow food, and I've even gone to people's homes and helped them set up their gardens, as well as going to businesses to do that. So I am a multifaceted love life,
Mhm.
enjoying it. And as a child, even probably up until my 30s, everything that I did, I thought I did because it was what life had presented. In my 30s, I realized, oh my gosh, you have a lot of stuff and you love all of this stuff, and you have to start embracing it and sharing it and talking about it. And that's what I do.
Yeah. Well, even when I was reading your bio, the list went on and on. You do a little bit of everything.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's great.
Exactly. I
So
love it.
definitely reach out to LaNoana if you're interested in any of those things.
For anything, I am a great resource. I am a great
Hmm
resource for all types of things. It's hard for me to stay in the saving seed box because I have so many layers.
Mm-hmm. Spencer is talking here in the chat about the differences of growing regions coming from the Caribbean to all the way up here in the 5A region. Do you
Absolutely.
Can we grow Scotch bonnet, black eyed pea, sorrel? Can these things grow for us up here? Do you know?
Sorrel definitely grows here because I have an herbalist friend that grows it. I have not seen a black eyed pea grown here.
Mm,
Scotch bonnets, I have seen. I've actually grown Scotch bonnets before, so they do grow here. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to try some of
Right.
these
Right.
seeds.
Right.
Mhm, mhm. All right. Well, any other stories you want to share with us that you've learned, maybe in putting together this presentation? Any sort of insights that came or stories that people got talking about how things used to be or how they love to prepare something or something
No,
like that?
I asked pointed questions. They were almost like they can only give me one answer. We didn't get into a whole lot of stories. So I don't have a whole lot of stories to actually share. I was hoping to get some more, but I don't really have those
Yet, right?
yet. Exactly. And I could not come here and misrepresent. So
Yes, for sure. Well, thank you, Lenona. Let's maybe come over to your last slide to those
all right, and we're gonna close
takeaways
out. Yes, thank you.
here. Oh, one final question came through about having grown sorrel, but it never flowered for them. Is there other parts of the plants we can use? Do you know? Are you familiar?
Um, off of my friends, he actually, let me see. He's had flowers, but we've also used the leaves. We've also used the
Mhm.
leaves, but whomever is asking that question, if you email me, I will get you a better answer from someone who actually has the experience. Um, because he may be he's a master farmer. He may be doing something that's making his flour that I'm not aware of.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Thanks for being that connection.
Okay, so as I close here, I just wanted to let you know we are all keepers of legacy through seeds. I encourage you to save seeds, share a story, and pass a seed. Preserve plants and pass down ancestral knowledge. Generations before me did not talk about a lot of things and share things. I am a storyteller, so I really value it. And it is amazing what you learn and how you can connect yourself to things and sharing stories. And if your family doesn't do it, I encourage you to start it. Start your seed jar and your log today. Keep track of those seeds. Make sure, it can get overwhelming if you just collect them. I actually tried one year. I was putting some seeds down I was going to save, and I was like, I'll remember what it is. I'll remember what it is. And then I was like, oh my goodness, I forget which one that was, why they were drying. So please mark those seeds as you are saving. Connect with your local community or a diaspora that's seed saving in your area. I know that they are all over the country. I was honored to be here today on this platform with some amazing people, dynamic speakers, and a lot of wisdom. I'm so grateful that I decided to say that I was interested because I almost did not do that. I wouldn't have been here today for this opportunity.
Well, we are also very thankful that you put in that proposal and that you are here among that wisdom. So thank you so much, LaNoana. Thank you so much, all the audience. Thanks for sticking with us after lunch.
Yes, thank you.
Still so much more good things to come. Let me as the engagement and education manager here at Seed Savers, I cannot let you go without getting to talk to you about our big upcoming celebration. So, hopefully, you've heard that Seed Savers Exchange is celebrating our 50th anniversary this year, 2025. It's been a big shebang already. We've had lots of really good stuff going on. All of this is going to be coming all together for a big celebration and in-person conference. So, if this has been on your bucket list, if you've really been wanting to go visit Heritage Farm, you want to come out and see us, see what we do, get an on the ground look, this is your chance. Here we are. This is the time to do it. We will be celebrating all things Seed Savers Exchange on August 8th and 9th. That is a Friday and a Saturday. We have a great lineup of keynote speakers. There'll be farm tours, there'll be workshops, hands-on demonstrations, live music, lots of really good food. Just be a great time. So we do hope that you will come and join us here. Registration is open. You can find it at this link here, seedsavers.org/events, and we hope to see you there. All right, so stick with us. We're going to have a little break. You have about 20 minutes or so before we are headed into our next session about Dr. Albert Yeager and the quest to bring tomato plants to the plains. So we will see you then.